Like, well, good part, buddy.
Yeah, that's a mixed bag. That's why we only went like with the 2 changes.
28.
They'll pop up. The weather gets a little warmer. They're like, I'm gonna stay home today. I know.
Okay.
Was it? Yeah.
Like, how dare you.
Alrighty, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Okay. This is the regular city council meeting of Maumee of March 2nd, 2026. It is 6:15 PM. We call the roll, please.
Kurt,
Present.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Sun,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
All right, let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we've got our new order of operations here. So the first thing we have is petitions and communications. I will need a motion to accept the petitions and communications, so we don't have to read through all the minutes, but then we have a couple presentations.
I would move to accept the petitions and communications.
I'll second that.
Okay, call the roll.
Kurt,
Yes.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Sun,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay, first thing we have is a proclamation to the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities for National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. So I'm going to read that, and then I'll come out and give this to you, and then you can come up and speak. Okay? All right. Whereas Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month was declared in March of 1987 to increase public awareness of the needs and the potential of Americans with developmental disabilities and to provide the encouragement and opportunities needed for those affected to lead productive lives and to achieve their full potential. And whereas people with developmental disabilities are valued members of our community, contributing their talents, perspectives, and strengths to the social, cultural, and economic vitality of our city. And whereas Organizations, service providers, educators, families, and advocates work tirelessly to support individuals with developmental disabilities, ensuring access to resources, education, employment, and community participation. And whereas the City of Maumee, Ohio is honored to take part in the annual observance of a Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the hopes that it will lead to a better understanding. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Chelsea Ziss, Mayor, do hereby proclaim March 2026 as Developmental Disabilities Month in the City of Maumee, Lucas County, Ohio, to raise public awareness of the developmental disabilities and to promote acceptance and understanding while strengthening our community and affirming our commitment to ensuring that every resident has the opportunity to thrive. He's always making me take pictures. Like to say a few words? That'd be great.
Mayor and Council, thank you very much. My name is Michelle Meyer-Holtz. I'm the superintendent for the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and I thank you for this proclamation in recognition of developmental disabilities. As we move, and I know that you guys have been doing this for a few years now, and we appreciate that. And I just want to, I guess, say thank you again for the fact that Maumee's always very welcoming and does a lot of different things. Acoustics for Autism, I think, was just this past weekend. Georgette's and Sunshine's Art Studio. There's just so much that the city does, and we just really appreciate the support. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy Priest, and I am actually a resident of the the City of Maumee, and I also am an employee of the Board of Developmental Disabilities. And I just want to echo Michelle's sentiments. We are very grateful for recognizing March as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and for all of the efforts that Mayor, that you and the City Council do for our city and for all of our community members, and always keeping inclusion and belonging first in the decisions that you make.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have Allison Fiskus to present proposed charter amendments from the Charter Review Advisory Commission.
I always follow a tall person at a mic. Thank you for having me tonight, Mayor Ziss and members of council. I'm Allison Fiskus, and I'm here as the chair of the Charter Review Commission to discuss with you all the proposed changes that we have to the charter. I'm going to go through a bit of an introduction with the members. I'm going to discuss how we arrived at the changes that were proposed, and then I'm going to go through each of them individually. I wanted to make note for everyone up here and also in the audience that you will see in at least one case just a snippet of the full language that is proposed, because it was quite lengthy, and I'm not trying to make anyone go blind by looking at a presentation. So please know that any omissions are not done in any sort of way to hide anything, and the full proposal will be available to you. All right. So I want to start by just talking about the different members of the Charter Review Commission. They are Carla Lewis, John Sayer, Gretchen Fairweather, and myself. And I wanted to bring this up mostly because I have rarely had the opportunity to be a part of a group that had such differing views on nearly everything that we talked about. I mean, you talk about team of rivals and all of this, and while I'm not trying to be a rival to anyone else who was on the commission, I do think it was a really great exercise in seeing multiple perspectives and considering new things that may not have been at the top of each of our own personal views, but we were able to take into consideration. And I say that because I really want to underscore something that is universally true for all of the items that are being presented tonight, which is that we came to unanimous conclusions for everything that you are about to see or hear, which in the current political climate of this city feels nearly miraculous. Carla and I joked frequently throughout this entire process, like, Allison, have we ever agreed on a single thing in our entire lives? And the answer was likely no. And yet here we are with a set of recommendations that are coming universally agreed upon by everyone who is taking part. So this began back in September when we met, and it was honestly quite a lively meeting. This chamber was nearly full, and it was full of elected officials, both current and former, including our former mayor, who had a lot of really good insight into how we should approach this, namely that we needed to make sure that we were not overwhelming the voters with too many options at one time. So the last charter review that went through, there were, I want to say 5 or 6 changes, is that correct?
I believe so.
And a lot of those were lumped together. And in some cases, the most notable of which is the primary date, that led to their downfall because they were lumped together by article, which made good sense at the time, but put things together that could potentially cause, something that we really needed, like the primary date change, to go down because people were opposed to the other portion of that article, which was they didn't want to have nonpartisan elections. Is that correct?
I believe that was part of it.
Yes. So we went through an entire list of items that came forth from the people who were in the crowd, from the elected officials, from city employees, and then also from the members of the commission. And we had to decide what were the most important for us to address this first go-round. And we landed on 3, and they are military service, primary election, and recall provisions. And I think we can all agree that these are 3 things that are truly pretty critically needed within our city. Military service would put us in line with federal law instead of against it. Primary election would be a cost-saving measure for the city and something that our Board of Elections has asked for, and something that we know from the last election was wanted, even though we did not get it passed. And recall provisions, which I don't think I need to explain to anyone in this room. So I'm going to go through these one by one, and I'm going to talk about each of the existing language and then what is proposed to be changed about it, starting with military service. Currently, if you are called into service for more than 60 days, the office of the elected official shall become vacant and council may appoint a replacement. Our proposed change will be, if called into service for less than 90 days, the seat will not become vacant. If called into service for more than 90 days, council may appoint a temporary replacement with full voting rights, until which time the elected council member returns from military service. And I want to make one correction, because I do believe it is elected individual, not just council member. So if the mayor was also called into service, that would also fall subject to the same idea. Here is the full language of the proposed changes in this case. You can see anything that is struck through will be eliminated, anything that is bolded and underlined will be added, and anything that is unchanged is unchanged. And I want to call your attention to one specific phrase in here. Former Councilman Harris came to speak at the last session that we had, where we were really parsing through the material changes of these, and he said, you need to use the phrase military service duty. So military service duty covers all manner of incidents in which someone could be called into their military service, not just deployment. There are any number of things that could put that person back into service. And so that specific phrase was pretty critical to make sure that we were covered no matter what that call was. I also want to point out that the 90 days, if that person going into the service for 90 days knows at the start of that 90 days, they can notify council, and council can appoint at that point rather than waiting the 90 days. And also, this gives council the opportunity to not appoint anyone if it's not needed. But it also guarantees that individual the ability to retain their seat and to come back once they are done with their service. Would you like to ask questions as we go along, or do you want me to just go through everything and then we can talk at the end?
I think questions as we go along, but so far, it's
Okay.
thorough. Thank you.
The second is primary election. And again, this is something that's pretty straightforward. Current primary elections will be held on the second Tuesday after the first Monday in September. And the proposed is that primary elections shall be held on the dates set by the laws of the state of Ohio. And we specifically chose this language, again, thanks to Alan for providing us a number of different variations, because this allows us a certain level of flexibility if there are any changes that we don't foresee that come from the state level. So if tomorrow the state's like, just kidding, we're going to have the primary elections on the Thursday after Easter, I don't know, this covers it. Because we're saying what the state tells us to do, we're going to do, versus providing a specific date combination as we currently have, and as we could move forward with, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to do so. I don't know how we got to the first Monday in September before. Was that previously a common primary date?
That originated in 1951, which was a very good year, when the Charter Commission met, and it was a timing thing. I think they the Charter Commission wrapped up its business at such a time, and I don't remember the details, but they wrapped it up at such time that they were unable to have a primary for the new city council members. So they had to choose September. I just don't remember the details.
Gotcha. So it was always in service to the city of Maumee. It was not something that we had previously aligned incorrectly, or...
Well, it may have been changed back and forth
Sure.
between then and now. I don't know, but
Okay.
initially that's
Got it. Well,
what it
this
was.
would prevent any future issues, which, as we know, it's just good business to be aligned with your local board of elections. And it potentially is a significant cost-saving measure for the city, because it means that you're not running an election at a time when no one else is running an election, and therefore footing the bill for everything that goes into that. Here again is the language, and this is the complete language for that. Again, anything that is bold and underlined is added, anything that is struck through is omitted, and then anything that remains untouched is the current language. Okay. Recall provisions. I want to just pause for just a moment before we go into these, and I want to kind of bring forth some rumors that have been circulating, because it wasn't sitting well with me considering how well our group worked together on all of this. And I want to state them both for the record and because I just want to say, in an effort of goodwill and good intent, that these are rumors. I don't know if they're true. I'm hoping they're not true, but I want to say it out loud. It has already been brought to several of us that many of the changes that we are proposing are dead on arrival. That there are items within these changes that this body has decided are untenable, and that they will be changing them to something that works better. And I don't know if that's true. I 100% don't like to take gossip at face value, but again, I want to just really take a moment and say that 4 individuals of completely different views were able to come to a consensus on everything that you are about to see. And this was a lot of hard work. There was a ton of research that went into it. A big, big thank you to John Sayer for doing the bulk of the gathering of that. And then going back and providing all the sources when the librarian was like, I'm not going to accept these. Thank you, John. So I just really want to underscore for everybody that is up here that nothing you are about to see is unusual. A lot of it is taken directly from other municipalities and how they run their recalls, because we were starting with nothing and we wanted to go off of something that we knew had worked other places in like communities. So that is said with good intent. I've said my piece. I'm not going to add anything else to it, and I'm just going to move forward. And please know that, again, every single tiny aspect of this, we hemmed and hawed over and went back and forth over. And at the end of the day, agreed upon. We heard from citizens, we heard from council members, and here we are. So currently there is, as we all know, no recall provisions in our charter. Our proposed recall provisions would allow recall after an elected official has been in service for 1 full year. That means that you cannot circulate a petition until the first day of the 2nd year of their term. And then, as I'll go over in just a moment, many of the other things are very much in line with what occurred in the last 1.5 years in this city. So petitions for recall may be circulated beginning the first day of the second year of an elected official's term. Signatures totaling 25% of the total vote of the last regular municipal election for that office must be collected within 90 days of the petition's circulating start date. No more than 3 elected officials can be recalled at one time, and if more than 3 petitions are circulated, the first 3 received will be the ones that move forward. Nominees for recall petitions shall have until 60 days before the general election to file with the Board of Elections as a recall candidate. Recalls will be presented to the electors at the next general election that is 90 days or more from the filing of the petitions. And if a recall fails to remove the incumbent from office, the incumbent will be reimbursed up to $5,000 for actual and legitimate expenses. I'm going to go through these one by one. Many of them are very straightforward. The 25% is pulled from another recall that is already in someone's charter. The first day of the second year of an elected official's term was something that we went over and over and over and discussed. And we did hear from both sides of the issue. And I will say that this was the piece that was the most, I don't even know what the word is I want to use. I would say that it was the piece that caused the most strife for both sides. But at the end of the day, we kept coming back to the same conclusion, which was, I think anyone who's sitting up here now can agree, this job doesn't come with an instruction manual, and progress does not happen overnight. Giving individuals 1 year to begin to do that work and to prove to the citizens is, quite frankly, the least that the citizens can do, especially considering if it's within that first year, they will have just been elected to that position. So not circulating or starting a campaign to remove that person from office for 1 year feels like the right level of difficult. And I use the word difficult because we also believe that recalls should be a little difficult. There needs to be a level of difficulty to this to prevent frivolous recalls from happening every time individuals do not agree with some minute difference that they have with their councilman or their mayor. No more than 3 elected officials can be recalled at one time. Again, this really stemmed, we did see this in other charters, but it also stemmed from some of the concerns that we heard from citizens, which was when it was proposed to remove everyone from council all at once, that was very frightening to a lot of people. Disrupting a city government that completely could be disastrous. So putting some limits on how many individuals can be removed from office at one time seemed very prudent. And the way that we handle that, again, is if you're circulating 7 petitions at once, the first 3 to be turned in are going to be the ones that move forward. Recalls will be presented to the electors at the next general election. Individuals who want to be in that recall as a candidate will have up until 60 days to file to do so. All of this is very straightforward. We landed on the general election because that's a very safe election that's not really at any risk of causing the city any sort of undue financial burden to run. And then the $5,000 for actual and legitimate expenses, again, is pretty par for the course for a lot of these recall provisions. And there is one additional element that I apologize, I forgot to add to this, which is if a recall fails, if an individual goes through the recall and it fails and they retain their office, you cannot recall them again for the length of the term that they are serving. Again, recalls should be a little difficult. Here is the bulk of the material within this. A lot of the rest of this particular piece is the specifics of what the ballots will look like and how all of that will work. It is, of course, very important, but it wasn't necessarily worth putting before you in this moment. So the complete language of that, I think, might even be in your packet as we speak.
Hey, Allison, I want to review some of what you said about
Yeah.
the recall change.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think 3 people at one time is an awful lot, and you have 7 people. I think 2 is more reasonable, and the reasons for that is it causes a major change in the city's momentum and where they're going. So you put 3 new people on that aren't happy about something, and they have that no matter what happens, let's stop and change it and throw a wrench in the works, right? You don't have any experience or any knowledge up on the board. You create a vacuum. The projects are dead in the water. We had a lot of stuff to try to fix and get going forward. We ripped out, 5 to 7 people. Some didn't want to come back and recall. I don't think you're going to have to worry about term limits in the city of Maumee. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that.
So that was something that we discussed because, again, much like when circulating petitions can occur and whatnot, it feels like there's a balance there. And we landed on 3 because it's not a majority.
Because what?
It's not a majority.
No, it's not a majority, but it's an awful lot of
Yes.
knowledge that's gone all of a sudden.
Yes. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Again, all of this is something that is a balance. It is a balance. We had people, we are an incredibly divided community, and that went straight to the people who were on this commission. And so we were looking at this from 2 very starkly different perspectives, and we needed to come to a good place of consensus. So that's how we landed on
I understand
3.
how you got there.
Yeah.
Allison, in the failed recall attempt that took place last year, that person can't be recalled until he or she has served 1 year of his term.
Mm-hmm.
That would have applied, if these new rules would have applied to me last year, or last time, because that was my first shot, my first term ever on council. Would it have applied to, for example, Gabe? He had served a term before that, and now his new term began same time I did, January of 2024, whatever it was. So
You're saying that, you both had been elected at the same time, but he was technically in his 5th year instead of in his 1st year. So it still would not have applied because he would have recently been elected. So the 1st year of the current term. So if Gabe had just been reelected as he had been, you're still within that 1st year. Much of the same applies. So you were just elected by a majority of the electorate. You're going to be given that year before they can try to remove you from office. So it resets each term, if you will. And again, I think the key here is we don't circulate petitions until that 1st year, until the 1st day of the 2nd year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing to point out is this is a separate removal procedure by the voters.
Yes.
There's still a removal procedure that still exists within the
Correct.
charter for that council can remove members for misconduct.
So what like Alan mentioned, if there are members of this council that are convicted of a crime or whatever other misconduct, and I do believe the level of misconduct is outlined in the charter currently, which I do not have memorized, then you as a body can also vote to remove one of your own. So this is only the one of 2 ways in which you can remove someone from office. And by you, I mean you with a capital Y. Any other questions? Yeah,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I had 2 questions. I've read the ordinance and digested it, and I'm confused because it talks about the next general election, the next regular election, then it talks 3 places it calls for recall election. Is the recall election a separate election?
No, it's always in November, correct?
Correct. Each November it would
Yes.
be potentially a recall election.
And that was pretty critical because it is possible that there would be, in theory, it's possible that a recall election could be timed in such a way that it ends up during the time of a primary when we don't have a primary. And then once again, the city of Maumee is footing the bill for running that election. So we really looked at this from a strong financial perspective as well and said, what do we need to do to make sure that this can be done, that this is available to the citizens, but is not going to also cause them undue financial burden, or the city undue financial burden.
Alice, I had a question.
So-
Are there any, is there a set of reasons why that you're allowing the recall to go forward? Are there particular reasons listed you can recall if job performance, I don't know, or you
No.
just don't like the person?
We did
Is
not,
that
we did not
simplistic?
address that. It was not common practice within the recall provisions that we saw for other municipalities to have a cited reason. Essentially, the citizens get to cite the reason. They get 200 words to cite their reason, and then it's upon them to go to the people and to say, this is why this person should be removed for office. But then we also, again, the safeguards went in both directions. So it did not put an undue burden to, undue burden's not the right phrase. It did not put too much pressure to provide some sort of legal reason why this person should be removed from office. But we've also built in a timeline that allows that elected individual plenty of time to state their own case, and then reimburses them if it turns out that this was a frivolous recall and that this was something that did not end up coming to fruition. So protections to both sides.
I don't see that as much protection. Come up with a
I had
reason
another
why.
follow-up question,
All right.
if I can finish. I had another
Oh, I
follow-up
didn't,
question.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Go ahead.
So if in the second year, say in January, February, they circulate a petition for removal, and that provision, or that petition is approved, then does that seat goes vacant and doesn't get filled until November?
No, that individual would serve until November unless they resigned, at which point council would have the ability to appoint someone in their place. So that person essentially has, like, let's say it takes them 90 days, 3 months to get their petitions. That puts us in, like end of March. That gives them about, I'm bad at math this late in the day, a certain amount of, several months to make their case back to the rest of the city as to whether or not they should actually be recalled, and also gives the individuals who are calling for recall the ability to make their case as to why the person should. And, I mean, we just lived through it and nothing burned down, but we are actively putting guardrails in place so that everyone knows what the rules are and how this will operate. Gabe, I hear your frustration. I have to tell you, I'm standing in front of you as the wife of someone who was just not elected again, and as an elected official myself, and I get it, but I also can completely understand why it kind of defeats the purpose. If you have an individual who is already, working illegally or is acting in a way that, does not align with the job and what they're supposed to be doing, the removal process exists, and that's amongst your peers. So it's already there. And again, we approached this saying recall should be difficult. 25% is on the higher end of the spectrum of what we saw across the different charters that we looked at. And, putting those limits in place, and we really tried to strike a balance.
Is there what is the time frame for gathering signatures for a replacement?
You have to turn them in 60 days prior to the general election. So you can take as much, I believe, as much time as you need. It's just like any other elected office.
Okay, all right. So there's no.
No, 90 days to collect the petitions for recall. She's asking, her question is, if I am a person who wants to be submitted to take part in the recall as a replacement candidate, how much time do I have to collect my signatures to be considered? And the answer is, you have to turn them in 60 days before the general election. So in theory, if March 31st petitions are turned in, you have between March 31st and 60 days before the general election to turn in your signatures to be considered as one of the replacement candidates.
That would be the nomination petition.
Yes.
which is different than the recall.
And there's 10% for signatures, 10% of the last
25%. Oh, no, 10%, I'm so sorry. 10% if you are someone who is hoping to be considered as a recall.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll add that I appreciate everything you guys have done. You guys have been at a lot of meetings the last 3-4 months, and I think you guys did an amazing job pushing through every aspect, both sides, this side. I just appreciate what you guys have done on that board.
We appreciate you saying that. It was a lot of work, but, you know.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go.
You know, it was a lot of work, but it was worth it. And I think that, again, I think the representation on the commission was really critical to getting to a place where we feel confident that the citizens will support it and we can move forward.
I too want to thank you. You did a very good job. The committee did a very good job.
Thank you.
In all the provisions.
Thank you.
So thank you.
And I want to add my thanks too to the commission. You did put a lot of hard work in. John especially did a lot of research too that was very helpful in generating these different modifications to the charter.
Thank you.
And
I'm just,
I'll-
oh, go ahead.
Also, and as I will also thank you guys. That was not a job most people would want to sign up for. And just to like the rumors thing, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I truly, look,
Dave, I'm with you there.
I want to be very clear. I'm not here to point fingers. I am not here to blame. I am just here to say that that's disheartening. And so I hope it's not true. And I really hope that you can take these recommendations and move forward with them as is, because there was a lot of back and forth and conversation with citizens, with the rest of the commission. There was a lot of work already put into it. And I believe everyone who just really ran on a strong, the citizen's voice counts, and you are seeing the citizen's voice in action here. The last thing I would like to say is that there are still some provisions that we would like to address. Going back to that first slide, second slide. There are some additional items on here that we think need to be addressed, but we are not looking to do that until probably the latter half of this year, following a similar timeline. So you can expect to hear more from us, but not for a while.
Allison, I had a question. Do you have any provisions for becoming a candidate?
No, there were a number of items that came, this is me again being very transparent. There were a number of items that came forth, again, from both sides of the current conversation that we are having that were very, very partisan, and we opted not to consider them, just full stop, because it didn't feel like the appropriate time. And when we were looking at many of the things that we have, a lot of the stuff you're seeing on this list are just like procedural things that need to be updated so that they actually reflect what our current process is, so we're not lying to the citizens with how things are operating. And every single one of those, you know, we're looking at maybe, if they are simple enough, being able to put 4 of these on the ballot, and we can only do that once a year. And so the hyper-partisan things, we're just not interested at this point, especially considering what the current rhetoric is.
And I think the other change is the form change for nominations. We just adopted the state form instead
Yes.
of a Maumee form.
Yes,
That way you can go online, use that form, and
Yes.
simplify it that way.
yes.
Can I ask a question on that? Is that on, for all elections, for all nominations?
For all nominations.
And then is the primary partisan, or is it still nonpartisan?
So we went back and forth on this because we wanted to make it reflect what the entire system was. But essentially, what we were doing was, if we did a partisan primary, we would have to do it like the partisan primary we have in national elections, where you're going in and you are voting for one side or another. So making that continue to be nonpartisan allows us to narrow candidates down without splitting off into different segments.
Great, thank you.
Well, I also just wanted to add that I didn't hear any rumors, but I know they're put out there to get people angry one side or the other. And I know you guys been meeting an awful lot, and I appreciate the detail that you give tonight. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And again, I said all that with the good intent. I hope the smile on my face is taken as genuine. I, too, not in this room, but in a different room, lived through what it is like to be in a seat like this. So I also understand that gossip is what it is. So I wanted to put it out there for consideration, but please know, there's nothing but goodwill and good intent coming from this body. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we'll probably discuss more in detail, probably at the next council meeting after everybody's had a chance to look through and read, but thank you again, Charter Commission. We don't have to read these through, right, because we already accepted them. Okay, so next we have Committee of the Whole. With that, I will hand it over to Council President Sun.
Okay, I would like to ask, does anybody have any things they want to discuss on what pending?
Yeah, I'll move to go to an executive session at the end of, is it the new business, after new business, for the purposes of real estate?
Okay, anybody else?
I don't understand. What do you-
You could do it after the mayor and council member comments if you want, because no action's going to be taken, so you can make it item,
Yeah, then
right
that
after item
works.
11.
Yeah, then I'll propose it be 11, yeah, after 11?
Right, correct, after the
Okay.
mayor and council member comments.
I'll second that.
That's not 11 o'clock, is it, Ellen?
It might be.
Item 11, okay.
And this is, before we vote on it, Rosemary, this is something that just came up in the last couple of days that we need to talk about in executive session.
Okay.
Okay, let's call the roll. Or does anybody else have any questions before you? There's not a whole lot I can answer up here right now, but, all right.
We're voting on the
Executive session,
petitions and communications?
going into executive
No.
session.
Oh, just I'm sorry.
Yes, at the end of the meeting,
Yeah,
just to add it to the agenda.
okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Kurt,
Yes, thank you.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Sun,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay,
Go
well,
ahead.
are you going to go?
Yeah.
You're trying to cut in line?
I don't have to, but
I just had something I needed to, I got a letter in the mail about this legislative body having a potential to comment on a development that is coming in. I don't know, did you see this too, or did they just send it to me and council? Somebody's applying for some Ohio housing finance, financing, I suppose, to put in a potential low-income housing development in Maumee. And we have a 30-day comment period from the time that it was mailed February 24th. So we have 30 days from that to be able to comment on it. I don't really know anything about this development. Other than the address, and then just what's in the letter. But I had just opened it, so I didn't really have time to go through and scan it. But we do have that 30-day comment period, so hopefully before the next council meeting, we can send out information about that so that we can take a look at it and discuss if we want to do any comments on it.
I don't know anything about it.
It's literally, I mean, you can see it just sitting here. But because we only have what it says is you have the right to submit comments to OFA regarding the proposed project's impact on the community. Any objection to the project must be submitted in writing and signed by a majority of the voting members of the legislative body. Comments must be received by OFA within 30 days of the mailing date of this notice, and the mailing date was February 24th. This is Monclova Manor is proposed to be a 70-unit new construction multifamily development for families located at approximately 6002 Monclova Road in Maumee. The property will offer a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments, income average to 60% of the area median. The proposed development will be financed with conventional bank debt along with equity from the sale of housing credits. And there's a specific housing tax credit program they'll be using, which I kind of tried to look up before coming here, but like I said, it's kind of a new item, but we only have the 30 days, so I wanted to make you all aware. If we do want to put in a comment, it has to be a majority of us have to agree and sign on to it. And I don't really know anything else more than that.
I would say, Alan, give it a look over and let us know quickly what that's about.
So I think the other thing we started to do, Matt and Matt both look at these too, as to the location and capacity issues. to require any developers to provide some kind of analysis
Yeah, it's been my
here and
experience
in the future as to sewer and water usage, so.
It's been my experience in the past that the pro forma that they put forward sometimes isn't quite there
Can you explain that? What do you mean by
to
that?
pay for the project.
Mm.
They rely sometimes on a lot of public assistance, government aid.
Yes.
To build these, and then there's a whole nother set of rules and disqualifications of people maybe that are in the area that can't actually live there because of the income level.
Yeah.
Lots of things to look at.
Which is why I wasn't sure how much we've heard internally at the city from that. Was not really aware of anything coming in.
Just zoning request, as to how it's zoned. We did receive requests for
I did see the
how
water
property is
request.
zoned.
Mhm.
So we responded to that and some other minor details about the project at that point, but
So when did we hear about this with the water request and everything?
well, the water and sewer issues are something recently that we came up with that we're going to require, depending on where they tap into the system at, a capacity test provided by them to make sure that the sewer system's adequate to handle the flows that might be coming from a specific housing project.
Okay, so I guess where in the development process is this Monclova Manor? Because this is the first we've heard of it. Like, how did this get started?
Well, they've just applied for funding is all it is, and this is a letter, whether we support it or not, or any concerns we have with it. So they don't even have funding yet. Once they have funding, that's when, there would be either a development agreement or other plans that would be provided to the city. So we haven't seen anything of that nature at this point.
When was the zoning verification letter?
Yeah, zoning verification letter just says this property is zoned for, I think in this case it was C4 zoning, which has certain requirements for residential housing and what can be, what is allowed there. That's all the request we had, not. You could gather from the request that it was going to be multifamily, but no other details.
When was the request? Do you know the date?
Well, within the last month, it's been recent.
So, Alan, is that the property before you cross the tracks on the right, where that old
Right by the,
Right.
right by the.
building
I
is?
think they just raised something.
Okay,
there
I know what you're talking
Across
about.
from the
Yeah.
old St. Luke's property.
Right next to the playground.
Next to
Right.
the playground.
That's something, so I did want to bring that attention. I also wanted to just put it out there to discuss. We don't have to discuss it all now or come up with something now, once we get some more information. But I did want to point out that once, upon hearing about this, I did ask about some of the things that these types of developments can cause Maumee. There's a marked increase in first responder calls, whether it's low-income housing or whether it's senior housing. All that puts a really big, not necessarily strain, but it could be that way with as many as we have coming up. I did get a call from a business owner who was worried about another potential apartment in a business park, which I still need to follow up on and see where we are with that. But it's starting to become a cause of concern for me, because
Okay.
the more that we have sort of coming in, with the way that our zoning is right now, we can't just reject things because we don't like how they're being funded. It's that there are multifamily housing allowed in most of our zoning code, including commercial, including industrial, including the C4, which is the laboratory district, right? And I think that's the only one we actually have in Maumee. But so a lot of, it's causing some concern, so I would like for us to have some more discussion about that, decide, I mean, we can decide on this one property specifically too, but going forward, I think it'll be important to look at that, because some of them are, the C4 one, it's a minimum of 4 stories.
Yeah, and I agree with our mayor on that for sure, because we already have committed to have several hundred apartments and dwellings built over at Arrowhead and senior housing and side cut crossings. And that puts more work on our services. And it's good to have all these businesses coming to the city of Maumee, but these two gentlemen right here can attest to the numbers and how many calls are already taken care of rather. And I know the fire calls are up significantly in the last 2 years. Yeah, and they're not going down, but yeah, something to absolutely look at.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I did ask the finance director, I put her on the spot early as I was leaving today, about what, if we're looking especially at some of these developments that are apartments to come in, because we're in a catch-22. The cool thing about Maumee, which I think they actually used to call the Maumee Miracle, right, was that everybody comes to Maumee to work, and there are fewer people who pay income taxes who live here. Everybody's coming in. So when we add all of these residences, it's actually less income tax, because we can make an assumption based on data from the master plan that 75% of the people who live here work outside of the city and don't pay Maumee income tax. And the apartment buildings and the people who live, like, it's not that much that comes in. I think, what's the one on the trail that I looked up, was that Trailside Lofts? And out of their entire property taxes, which right now we don't get because they are going to a TIF, but even once they do, we get about $5,000 in the city of Maumee for that, out of the $60,000 that they pay. So that's just something I think it'll be really important looking forward. Maybe we can refer back to the master plan and just kind of make decisions on where we want zoning to go, because we can't turn things away just because we don't like them if we're zoned to accept them, especially in the spots where, Matt, do you want to give us a little info about over in Indianwood Circle area?
Yeah, so, sorry. Over in Arrowhead Park, there's a Indy pump station. It's right there on Arrowhead, like right there at the three-way intersection, Beaver Creek Circle, Arrowhead, and a blank to the east. But anyway, when it was built, it was only built to sustain the assumed flows from, industrial type properties. It wasn't built to handle the amount of flows that would come from potential multi-unit family living. So as we start to develop more of that area, we definitely, like, we're nearing, I guess, peak flows for that pump as it is, or that pump station as it is. So any new developments that come into that area are definitely going to have to be scrutinized for their sanitary sewer flows, so we can know whether or not we can move the flows the way that we need to.
I had a question for Matt. Say, just since we're talking about that, if a business, a developer wanted to do that, we'd say, well, we're already at our maximum takeaway that we can do with our sewer and such. Is there a mechanism to put in place where if you want to build here, here's what it's going to cost you, and include an upgrade or a more, another pipe, their own,
Right.
Pay to play, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that's going to have to be part of the negotiation as
Okay.
far as the development
Yeah.
agreements go. Like, I don't see how the city can take on that burden.
Yeah, and I can see how they're spreading that cost to the whole community with
Correct.
higher rates, and they're like, well, we only have to pay this many REUs, so on and so forth.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So yes, I guess, the kind of surprise of, oh, by the way, we want to build 70 units here, just doesn't sit well with me, in that, if we, had some kind of inkling that they were asking about zoning and water, I think we as council, mayor, public services, finance, public safety, we should all get a heads up as soon as something like this is even on the radar. So in going and looking at, when it comes to development agreements, this is something that was done by essentially one person in our previous administration. And if you look at the ordinance, there's nowhere in there that says, you have to get approval of council to enter a development agreement. And so with the way that I think we want to run this council, I really want to see that any development agreement has to come to council before it's signed, sealed, and delivered. So for this, so I would like to make two new motions tonight. One, this would go under new business E, is a motion, so it's changing what we already have. So it would be a motion to authorize and grant the authority to the mayor, law director, or future city administrator after consultation with other directors and necessary staff and approval of council to enter into and sign development agreements as provided by Maumee Codified Ordinance Section 123.01 and 1135.08.
And so, I'm sorry, so what does that do?
So basically, it means that any development agreement has to be approved by council.
Yes.
So in our previous language, there was no mention of council anywhere. It was just after consultation with other directors and necessary staff. So things should run through us.
Dave, would you repeat that, please,
Yep.
the motion?
So motion to authorize and grant the authority to the mayor, law director, or future city administrator after consultation with other directors and necessary staff and approval of council to enter into and sign development agreements as provided by Maumee Codified Ordinance Section 123.01 and 1135.08.
Thank you.
And I think you should have a deeper discussion than just making a motion on development agreements and approval by council, because there's many things that come to the administrator's attention as to potential developments where they are into development agreements, but they don't want any of the information released publicly because of the fact that it's going to allow competitors of the same nature to come in and maybe purchase the property, because most of the time they haven't even completed a property purchase. So it really creates difficulties for developers. So I think you should approach it with caution and discuss it further and make sure that you're not just doing something that's going to delay or keep people from coming to the city of Maumee.
Well, is there any reason why we as council could not discuss these things in executive session so that it's not made to the public?
No, they'd have to be public if you're approving them.
Well, that's at the approval part of it, though, but when projects would come in executive session in the past, there is something, has it ever been where some project that was being looked at, not yet decided, or these people are thinking of coming to do a project in Maumee, and then get like a rubber thumbs up, like, okay, we know about it, versus, I know you can't vote in executive session, so no?
So I said it's going to take a lot more than just, a general discussion tonight to come up with a plan going forward, if that's how you want to treat development agreements. But it's going to create a lot of difficulties with developers, would be my concern.
I understand that, because you understand that too, Dave.
Mm-hmm. So, but basically, we should have the final say, is what I'm saying. And in our previous language, there was nowhere in there that said basically approval of city council.
And again, like I said, it's going to create some difficulties with developers, and that's why I would take a deeper dive into it than just a general discussion and find out how they may operate in the future and how that may impact somebody that even wants to come here, even puts a proposal forth without knowing that it's going to be accepted by council. Because once it hits council hands, again, it becomes a public record for sure. And then if they haven't purchased the property, it creates problems for them as to even purchasing the property, or creates problems with competitors that may use that information, that this is an area that this type of venture might be successful based on all the information they gathered. And obviously, a competitor might try to get in the door first. So there's a lot of different aspects of that that you would need to look at, not just simply council wants to approve it, because it could keep developers from coming here. That's all I'm saying, based on conversations we've had with them before, because they want to know going forward that, hey, if we come here, this is what's going to be allowed, this is how it would happen, this is the type of development. So again, zoning covers what's allowed in certain uses. And we do development agreements for all different kinds of things, including minor projects, minor improvements, and it's going to hold all those things up.
What types of, I'm sorry, what is an example of something we would use a development agreement for what would be considered a minor project?
If a new business is going into an existing property where they might need to make some improvements, there might be some things they can or can't do as part of it, or the cost is prohibitive, that we would enter into a development agreement with them, extend the time frame for them to do certain things that might need to be done to the building so they can, get their business going without having to make all those improvements up front.
And that wouldn't just be a zoning variance? They couldn't just go before BZA for that?
They could go through that process, but generally that's a lot longer process, because a lot of times it might be, 10 different things they'd have to get varied.
Okay. And then, so I did some, after learning about some of this stuff, I did do some research, and there are a lot of other communities that do actually have development agreements approved by council. I guess, I don't know, is there a specific definition of development agreement as to what ours is by form? I've only looked at a couple of them. But this is kind of all of this happened in like 3 days between a business owner calling me that happening and then some other, again, oh, she's already left, and some more rumors circulating. So I'd like to have a better understanding of how that process works.
And again, right now, without a, administrator, it's difficult to explain all of them, but generally, most of the projects that we've had, whether it was the new Wendy's, McDonald's, making some changes, some other projects that have been going on, that there's a development agreement, like the Wendy's on Conant Street, was a project where they scraped the site, rebuilt the property, and it was just going through. The development agreement was basically so they understood the parameters of what they needed to do as part of the project, based on the location of the site, the dimensions of the site, the building size requirements, other requirements that we would require to make sure that they understood what they needed to do before coming in, and they appreciate that going forward. So something like that's not as difficult, but it's other entities that may come to the city administrator and say, we're thinking about this, and you start drafting, or start talking about terms, and they want something that's not going to be public as set forth in a approved by council type development agreement, where they just won't come here.
If I can add a couple thoughts here. You mentioned terms. There's a lot of terms, different terms in the development agreements that I've seen. And the ones that I've seen are already signed, and so I'm having to be reactive. And there's a lot of obligations, financial obligations in there for the city. So I think that's important that we hammer those parameters out first before we approve a development agreement. And also the financial dividends, like we talked about before. What is the development going to bring to the city in terms of income tax, water, sewer, property taxes? Again, what kind of burden is it going to place on our public safety and our public service water and sewer divisions? So I think it's more about transparency with the supervisors and with directors to see the full impact. Sometimes the development agreements are vague. So, for example, reimburse up to 45% of 11-foot sidewalk. I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to budget for that, because I don't know what that dollar amount is. So, and these are all after the fact, and we're finding that there's agreements that have been made, again, that obligate the city to take some sort of action and expend monies. So I think transparency is important.
Bent, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I would agree. I think, just being made aware of them up front would be beneficial to me from a planning standpoint, so we can, A, budget for it, and B, know whether or not it's something that we're going to have hired out, or something that we can handle in-house by our own servicemen. There's been several development agreements that I wasn't aware of until it was brought to my attention that they were already agreed upon. So I think, like Jennifer said, I think just transparency, making everybody aware is going to be key to making them successful.
Councilman Peppermeyer?
So again, like our finance director said, this is all about transparency. The voters overwhelmingly voted for this type of government. And yes, if it makes it a little harder for a business to come here, that's fine. If people want to come here, they will come here. And just because, if it takes a quick backroom deal and it's signed, sealed, and basically promised before it ever hits our desk, then that's not a business I want here.
Amen.
So yes. And really, when it comes to the approval of council, I think if something comes to us, and we can even amend that motion to say that it goes to the zoning board first. Just to get, they're the ones that are experts on what, should be going where, what do our ordinances and rules say. But yeah, if it makes it harder, I don't care.
Councilman Barrow?
Thank you. It's nice to say that and look at it like that, but realistically, if somebody comes to us, like the Two Sheets gas stations, if we advertise that and talked about it, we may not have Two Sheets gas stations here, which a community needed, obviously, because there's two. Chick-fil-A's, there's a whole realm of businesses. You don't throw it all out there. I'm okay with having things looked at, and here are the parameters, and here's what we're looking for. And that could still be done between the directors, I think, and if you're the first contact mayor, then you would be in on it, and it's, okay, here's our parameters, guys, and your financing says here's where we want to be, to get them down the road. But to say we're going to put everything out there and put it up there, take it or leave it, I think we're going to miss a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Of making it public and throwing it out there, and so-and-so wants to build a store here. Well, that's not going to be a good sign of faith from the city or any city.
I get what I do get what you're saying there. I guess where I always get a little bit confused is I don't know if anybody is quite as masochistic as I am. But I don't know if you've watched other municipalities or counties or planning commissions and things like that. Now, our planning commission doesn't review as much as others do, but they do take, like, for example, our Metropolitan Holdings that we have, or Metropolitan Housing, excuse me, that is coming in and doing Satana and Paula, those big apartments over there in Edenwood Circle. They've gone before, they're doing almost, not the exact same, but a very similar development in Perrysburg, and they have gone before their planning commission and all that several times before locking in the deal. So that's, I guess, where I'm getting confused is what types of, the development agreement wouldn't come to council at all until all the terms were agreed. At that point, it would become public
But I
anyway.
think they had a pretty good idea of what they're expecting.
Sure.
Alan may be able to speak to that more than that.
I think for that one, it was, subject to approval of the planning commission, because of multifamily dwellings require the planning commission approval, so that's why it set forth in the development agreement. They also need that step.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Dave, I don't disagree with your motion. I really don't. Makes a lot of sense. But to Alan's point, it's a bit more complicated than many would believe. This whole economic development and bringing, new business in and so forth. And I agree with Alan that we, what do you say, take a deeper dive into this thing before we vote on a motion. Makes a lot of sense, Dave, but not tonight.
Personally, I think if we don't have any clue as to, like this one that's just coming up on Monclova Park, if it is a Section 8 housing, you look at.
It's not Section 8.
whatever's gonna be low income, let's call it low income. First of all, they're gonna be a 4-story building where there isn't anything like that on that side of the street. They're all just regular houses. We didn't know about this. All of a sudden, we okay it, and the residents aren't happy about it. We didn't know anything about it till it was time to okay it or not. I don't think that's right. I think we should have some say, or even just knowledge, maybe not say, but knowledge of what's coming in. So we could be prepared as council people for what the residents are gonna wanna know.
I mean, this particular entity doesn't need a development agreement. You know, it's zoned properly, that's all they ask for. We can't stop it. You know, they can submit building plans tomorrow, and if it's zoned properly, they can start building if they have their financing in order. So for those kind of cases, they wouldn't need a development agreement. So it's not going to come before council, so you'd have to modify your zoning code to say any zoning approvals would have to be, you know, authorized by council also, or anybody can come in and just, whatever the zoning code says, they can submit plans and start constructing if their plans are approved by the building department.
Councilman Barrow?
Thanks, President Sund. I'm in full agreement with you. I just don't like these things slapped down in front of us and say, the clock's ticking, let's go. Don't like that at all.
Exactly.
So I'd like to go down the avenue Alan's proposing, and maybe come back at another meeting soon, if need be. Whatever we need to do to make sure we have some parameters put in place.
So then I think what we need to do ASAP is to look at our zoning, because multifamily properties were added to all commercial properties a few years ago.
What were,
And
Dave?
Multifamily
Okay,
properties.
right.
And so, yeah, Alan's right. It's zoned a permitted use. So just like we did with the data centers, I think we should move that to conditional use for multifamily. If somebody really wants to put one there, that's fine, but it gives us more chance to properly vet it instead of just, oh, here's your plans. Okay, well, now we have 4-story, lower income housing going next to the playground and neighborhood right there.
And any zoning code changes have to go before planning commission
Right.
too. So we can
Yeah.
do anything like that right here, but we could do a motion to look into it or refer it to the planning commission.
All right. So I will withdraw my motion for now.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say something. I think your motion was to include the mayor, service heads and directors to learn about the agreements and then ultimately get approved by council, so that
Correct.
we are making sure that it is being talked about in-house, and it does not give responsibility to one single person to sign any agreement, that it's being talked to the right people first. So I don't think removing the motion would be, I think it's a good motion to move forward so that we have something in place. 'Cause as of right now, whoever has that pen can sign up on whatever.
Nobody has that pen.
Yeah, well, apparently
We don't have an
someone does.
administrator.
Yeah, well, yeah. But just putting that in there is not egregious. We still would have the final say and learn about it at the appropriate time.
Right.
And then we can approve it. Before then, it needs to be discussed between mayor, she runs the city, and everyone else that is running the city. And then it comes to us.
And it's not public knowledge until that point.
It's not public knowledge till it comes to us, and then we approve yay or nay.
Well, it would be public records, right, Alan? The minute something hits
I
an
mean,
email.
potentially anything's a public record depending on how it comes in.
Right, so that becomes public record, and there goes the advantage that the buyer, potential developer has. That's where.
Yeah, and Maumee is in a mode, but we're going up right now, where we have a lot of business coming in. We have a giant festival that was here yesterday. It raised $1 million+ I don't know. People want to come here. To say that, these things wouldn't happen if it was that way is not a good way to look about it. We are, on the way up, as I would like to think of it, and that's how we should be doing business from now on, is checks and balances to make sure the right thing is being done the right way, instead of just well, we have to bend over for them and not for what we want. You know, Sheetz is going to be going in, they're going around the entire state of Ohio right now. They're putting 140 gas stations. They don't really care what town it is. They're going everywhere. The businesses want to come here. So, I mean, I'm in favor of the motion. I'll second it.
You already withdrew it.
You didn't?
Well,
boy.
Essentially.
He didn't finish the sentence.
Essentially, the development agreements could be brought basically to the 1 yard line and then bring it to council.
yeah, which was, that's my intent. You know, I don't want to be in on discussions. That's the administrator's job. You know, that's the mayor's job. But before we are committed as a city to do things like lots of trees, then I'd like to have a say in that.
So which one is it? You're
So I
withdrawing, you're
got,
making it?
so did I officially withdraw the motion?
Did you?
Yeah.
No, you didn't say motion. You said I would draw, and I started
And
talking.
then Isaiah could, yeah.
You look at the tape.
Let's run with it. Why not?
Okay. That's, you good? You got it written down?
Some of that out later.
Casey, I owe you so many coffees today.
I guess Paul,
Kurt?
yeah.
No.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Sund,
Yes.
Bartzy,
No.
Barrow,
No?
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay, that's passed then, right? All right, anything else?
Do we have anything else? Anybody?
Did you have another one, Dave?
So I guess when it comes to development agreements, kind of talking about all this, again, just looking through what we have, we really don't have an actual policy on what a development agreement is and what we actually are requiring from developers. So I'd like to make a motion to ask our law director to draft a policy that defines what a development agreement entails and requires from developers.
Are you saying a policy or like a code or a policy?
What's more effective? So code, would that be a code, Alan?
It'd have to be a code, so.
Okay, then a code.
Okay.
Is that reasonable, Alan, to draft a document that outlines what a development agreement is, or are there different types of development agreements? Correct?
We'll take a shot at it. I don't know what it'll look like, so.
Well, other municipalities do have them, and it lays out
Yeah.
exactly what needs to be done.
Councilman Barrow?
Thank you. We're making a lot of big motions here tonight, and we really are in need of an administrator before we start shackling ourselves. I really would love to get an administrator in here prior to making all these large changes that we're going to be living with for a long time. We need the direction of a person who's been in this for a long time, quite a long time, so they can help put together what Dave's asking for. On the law director saying he's looking for different things than a administrator would be putting in front of him. That's what I would offer that.
Well, wouldn't we want these things in place so that we don't have what just happened with our city administrator happen again? If
Oh,
we have
no,
these-
absolutely,
If we have these
absolutely.
parameters in now, then we won't have to worry about somebody taking over and doing what he wants to do.
I think the other issue is that none of this has been, brought forward and put on the agenda beforehand, which is important, so everybody has a chance to look at it beforehand and not just have a general discussion here, but has an opportunity to really take a deep dive into it, so.
And that, so, I'm sorry. So what's this motion is to,
To just ask our law director to draft a code that defines what the development agreement entails and just what we are going to be requiring from these developers regarding updates and just, again, keeping things very open and transparent on their end.
as in like what the form is essentially?
Yeah, just,
what we're asking, what we're requiring of them.
I mean, again, other cities have these policies, and I've reviewed a few, and it sounds like something we should probably have too.
Councilman Gonzalez?
Yeah, we're just asking, or you're just asking to draft something, then we will discuss it. If it fits what we want, okay. If not, then we'll decide then.
Yeah.
And go from there. This is not asking for a change right this second, so.
Okay.
I'll second his motion. Nobody has
discussion.
anything? Yep.
Yeah. Alan, would you feel more comfortable with an administrator in doing what they're asking you to do? Because this is they're two different, it's two different tasks what you're asking here.
I mean, generally, the administrator would set types of policies that he would like to see in place as to, what he believes as to development and how it should take place and what he would be comfortable with, or he or she. So generally, these kind of things would be better made with the input of an administrator once they're appointed or hired.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
That did get us in trouble recently.
Well, when we do hire an administrator, then if they have definite opinions that they can express to us that make sense, is there any reason why we couldn't change them?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So let's get something started. And again, like Councilman Gonzalez said, it doesn't have to be in stone next week, but let's start working on something to define this.
Yeah. And just to respond to Councilman Bear, we are, our HR manager is going through and doing research and making notes on all the applicants. We're hoping to start doing phone screenings this week, and then we have an ECR committee coming up where they will appoint the rest of the committee for the administrative search. So I'm hoping, my goal was the end of this past month, so only being a week or two outside of that is about as fast as you can get in government. But I do take your comments of, having an administrator is good. I do sometimes go back and forth on, is it the administrator that sets the vision, or does the administrator execute the vision of mayor and council? So that's sometimes where I go back and forth. Are they more of an advisor or more of a director?
Council and mayor, since you're going to do administrator.
Yeah, they sort of execute that. So that's kind of something that we can work on. I think it'd be good to,
Okay.
like you said, not put something in motion right away, but do sort of discuss the direction that we'd like to go in.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I think we need a good policy. What is the development agreement? What are the expectations that generally we will have, the goals, the objectives and so forth, but a development agreement with sheets and as opposed to a development agreement with somebody who wants to put in a bunch of tennis courts, could be totally different. So I don't know if, Alan, maybe you can, maybe you're smarter than I think, but maybe you can develop a.
Wow.
Is that a compliment?
I think you're smart, Alan.
File that in the backhanded compliment department.
It's a compliment.
Oh.
No, I have faith in Alan, absolutely. But if somebody asked me to do that, I would have, it would take a while. It's just not an easy, I don't mean easy, it's just not a simple, straightforward thing to do. And I guess what I'd like to do is see if other communities, other municipalities have this, then let's get them, take a look at them, and, maybe that will.
All right, we're getting pretty far, and somebody want to
Okay.
call the question?
No, I was going to, just to add to the end, so when we went to this Ohio Municipal League seminar like 2 weeks ago for newly elected council members, the presentation part, one of the parts was, you have a law director, use them. This is what we're asking, is to use our law director for what he is hired to do. It doesn't matter, I know, I get your point, but it's his job to answer our questions and give us our legal advice as we sit here on council. So that's all we're doing.
Call to question.
There we go. Kurt?
No, at this time, no.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Sund,
Yes.
Bartzy,
No.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Anything else?
For clarification, will that be presented to council or committee
For development agreement
for
ordinance?
the draft of the code?
Well, would that be a zoning code?
Probably would, I'll have to see where it would fit within our code, so probably is not going to be under zoning.
TBD.
TBD,
All
yeah.
right.
With that said,
I'm going to be that guy, and I got one last thing.
Oh, Dave,
Okay,
you're killing me.
Real quick. New business, item D. I would, instead of passing this
That
as an
is-
emergency, I'd like to change that to waiving 3 readings. That's
I'm sorry,
regarding
where
the,
are you?
so new business, section D, or item D, the ordinance amending codified ordinance, section 921.14 and 003/2025 regarding the senior citizen disability water and sewer discount program. So instead of being an emergency, I would just like to make that to where we waive 3 readings
Then it won't take effect for another 30 days.
for 30 days.
We'll have to change the effective date in the ordinance then. It'll make
Okay.
it,
So anybody who gets a
April.
water bill this month will
All
not
right.
get it.
it'll be April.
Then I will withdraw that motion then. I know.
Just saying.
Oh, they added that. Jesus.
I mean, you can do it if you want. I'm just letting you know, that's what would happen.
That's good information, and so I will withdraw my motion.
that concludes the committee of the whole. Get out of here.
All right. Cool. Citizen comments? Okay. Next, there aren't any?
No.
Okay. Next, I'll need a motion for the adoption of the agenda as amended.
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
And I'll second that.
Let's call the roll.
Kurt,
Yes.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Sund,
Yes.
Bartzy,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay, then I'll need a motion for the approval of the meeting minutes.
I so move to approve the meeting minutes
Got to read out the date, too.
for February the 16th, 2026.
I'll second Rosemary's motion.
Ted? Kurt, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Sund,
Yes.
Bartzy,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay, next we need a motion to approve the consent calendar items. We do need the motion and the second, and then we will go through and read them and hopefully not discuss too much more.
I'll motion to approve the consent calendar items.
I'll second.
Okay. A is just that city council has examined each item on the consent calendar, proposed legislation and other items set forth on this agenda that involves the expenditure of public funds, use of public property, or use of City of Maumee resources, and have determined and find that any action or expenditure set forth into those items would be for and serve a public purpose as defined by Ohio law, that the expenditure and/or use of public property would be for the general good of the residents and taxpayers of the City of Maumee and the general public, and promotes the public health and general welfare of the City of Maumee and the general public. All right. Item B is a recommendation from the mayor, which is to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Helms and Sons Excavating in the amount of $882,204.88 for the 2026 paving program. C is a recommendation from the Employee and Community Relations Committee to authorize the establishment of an administrator selection committee comprised of 3 members of the Employee and Community Relations Committee, 3 residents to be selected by the committee and the mayor. D is a recommendation from the mayor to approve the listed road closures for the Heartbeat of Toledo 5K run/1 mile walk called the Diaper Dash We're doing great. Scheduled for Saturday, August 1st, 2026. That's Allen Street from West Dudley through West Broadway Street, 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is the start and finish line. West Wayne Street from east of Allen Street to Ford Street, which they will open up the side streets, Cass, Kingsbury, Rosamond, and Dwayne as the last runner or walker passes. We usually call that a rolling open. So if you ever hear us say that, that's what it is. West Wayne continuing west until Old Trail Road, and with the running path turnaround at approximately halfway down Old Trail Road, Ford Street north of Wayne Street, West Broadway east of Ford Street to east of Allen Street, and West Harrison Street at Conan Street, and West Harrison and Allen Street. E is the updated purchasing policy, is a recommendation from the Finance and Economic Development Committee to approve the updated purchasing policy and strategic initiatives policies to align with Government Finance Officers Association best practices in state law. And now, do we have a new F? Is that what you added on there, or is that just a motion in committee of the whole?
So that was a motion to, I proposed adding it to new business under item E.
Okay, so that would be item F for development agreements to go to council for final approval. Is it okay if I don't know exactly what it was?
Does that need to go under new business?
Was that for final approval?
Well, that's what I was asking.
Should be new business and have a formal motion for that under new business versus putting it on the agenda.
Right.
So.
Dave, I'm going to have you read what that was, because I don't have it written down. Can you
That's
read that
fine.
for me?
So for the, for development agreements or to draft a policy for the codes?
Just the development agreement motion.
Okay, so we're putting that under consent?
It goes to new business.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, new business as opposed to consent calendar?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Just kidding, there is no F. Okay, any discussion on the consent calendar items?
Right. So our finance director mentioned that for E, we need to mention that the purchasing policy is going to replace ordinance 029-2023, as well as amending item H at the meeting on March 18th of 2024, and that the capital asset planning and management policy is going to replace ordinance 230-2013, for the record.
I think we looked at that, and the capital asset policy will have to be by ordinance. So this one, we change the agenda, just to update purchasing policy and strategic initiative policies. The purchasing policy can be approved by council by this method, but the other one was adopted by council as an ordinance back in 2012 or 2013, I believe. And so that's going to need an ordinance. I did draft one today, but it was determined not to place it on the agenda for another new business item that would require either emergency or suspension of the 3 readings.
So if I can interject there with the capital asset policy, so it was merged with the purchasing policy that's being amended tonight, and now I've split that into 2 separate policies. But there was an original one, it was ordinance 230-2013. But if council or the committee could recommend that for the next time, I'd appreciate it, so then I can get moving with capital assets.
Well, I did draft an ordinance to that effect, so it's available to pass at the next meeting, so.
Okay.
And now talk about the B. That was the lowest bid for that street program, correct?
That's correct.
There was 5 bids, I believe.
That's correct.
Yeah. So the other ones were $400,000 or $500,000 more. So this is the best one for the street program. Yeah.
Call the roll.
Yeah.
Kurt?
Yes.
Peppelmeyer?
Yes.
Sun,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we have new business. Item A is a recommendation from the law director. I'll need two motions for that.
I move to, on this item, to suspend the rules and declare an emergency.
Second.
Can we have discussion on that? Under Section 9 of council's abilities, it says, "No action of the council in authorizing any change in or contracting for supply to the municipality or its inhabitants of the product, service of any public utility, whether municipally owned or not, shall not be considered taken as an emergency measure."
It's a little different than that. This is just the program it doesn't supply natural gas to the city, and we don't become a natural gas supplier. It just allows this Archer Energy to offer this program to the city. So there's a contract that we would enter into with Archer Energy. It's coming up, I believe, on March 10th or 16th, if I remember the dates correctly. And it's an opt-in or opt-out program that allows the residents the opportunity to get the gas rate provided by Archer Energy for natural gas. So we're not really becoming a utility provider by virtue of this agreement. This is an agreement we previously adopted.
Right.
They amended it to make it a longer time period because they got a better proposal from Archer Energy for a longer time period. We're currently under Archer, and this extends that agreement by 23 months at a different rate. But there's also some potential rebates involved with this program from Archer.
I'm just concerned that it's pretty clear that no action by council can be taken for contracting supply to the municipality or its inhabitants of any product or service of any public utility shall not be considered as an emergency. That's my concern.
Again, this doesn't fit within that category. It's not.
Okay.
We're not
Are you
creating like
saying
a
since it's not us, it's not a
electric or
public
gas.
utility?
We're not
Okay.
creating a utility.
So when we say public utility, we're talking, our only public utilities are water and sewer, essentially?
Yeah, but this says whether municipality owned or not.
But again, it's not a public utility. This is just a program that allows consumers to sign up for, or not sign up, that provides that Archer Energy, under the current contract, that we're going to extend that contract and allows residents and the businesses in Maumee to continue with that program. It's not really supplying the gas.
Okay, that's, okay.
Kurt,
Yes.
Kappelmeyer,
Yes.
Sun,
Yes.
Bartsey,
No.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
I move to, let's see. I move to approve Resolution 006-2026, which is a resolution amending Resolution 002-2026, accepting the proposal of Archer Energy LLC to extend an agreement providing natural gas supplies through opt-out aggregation to eligible residential and small businesses in the city of Maumee and declaring an emergency.
Well, it's already been declared.
Kurt,
Yes.
Kappelmeyer.
We get a second. Someone did
I did.
No, I didn't hear. Sorry.
He seconded the
Yeah.
motion.
I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Kappelmeyer,
Yes.
Sun,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hughie.
Yes.
You want to tackle item B?
Sure. I move to suspend the rules and declare an emergency.
Second.
Kurt,
Yes.
Puppemeyer,
Yes.
Son,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Bartsey. Oh, sorry, I
Yes.
did that wrong.
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hughie.
Yes.
And I move to approve Resolution 007-2026, a resolution determining that the petition for the creation of Maumee Timbers Community Authority complies with the requirements of Ohio Revised Code, Section 349.03, fixing the time and place for a hearing on the establishment of the Mason Warren Tennis Center Community Authority and declaring an emergency.
That last line is not correct. It's the Fallen Timber, or the Maumee Timbers Community Authority. That first resolution that came through,
Maumee-
had some wrong information.
Maumee
Right.
Tennis Center Community?
It is.
Maumee Timbers.
Maumee Timbers,
Maumee
not
Timbers.
Mason Warren.
As amended is my motion.
Second.
Kurt,
Yes.
Puppemeyer,
Yes.
Son,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hughie.
Yes.
C is the second reading of the 2026 budget with a recommendation from the finance director to refer to the two committees. Do we need anything for that, or is that just on there?
You don't necessarily need to read the budget. The budget bill passes, upon approval, which will be an ordinance.
Yeah, so we don't have to
You don't have to. do
vote on C.
readings
This
that,
is just
right?
letting you know that that's happening.
Do we need to acknowledge that this is the second reading, or just,
No,
okay, thank
because
you.
there isn't really readings required for that budget ordinance.
Going back to that 1951 research I did, they used to read the ordinances on the readings, and some of them were pretty lengthy, but I digress.
Okay, item D is a recommendation from the Finance and Economic Development Committee. Somebody want to make that motion?
All right, so I move to suspend the rules and declare an emergency.
I'll second that.
Kurt,
Yes.
Puppemeyer,
Yes.
Son,
Yes.
Bartsey,
No.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
I abstain.
I'm sorry.
Hughie.
He abstained.
Yes.
I don't think we're allowed to abstain under the charter.
He has
If he
to.
has a
I have
reason,
to.
you're right.
I'm sorry?
His abstention's approved because of a conflict, so.
Oh, it's a conflict.
We
Okay.
we had to approve that at the last one. This is for, I just lost it.
Water and sewer discount.
Yep, thank you. It's been a day.
So his abstention is actually a conflict of interest.
Yes.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, this one's for the senior.
Yes.
I thought it was for the, oh, this is for the senior.
This is why I was getting confused.
Okay, yeah.
That's why I got, that's why I paused.
Yeah, two different programs, so then I will not abstain, I will, yes. Sorry, my fault. I totally misread the,
I was like,
Didn't see that coming, did you, Casey?
All right, and then I will move to approve ordinance 004, 2026, an ordinance amending the codified ordinance section 921.14 and ordinance 003-2025 relative to a senior citizen disability water and sewer discount program and declaring an emergency.
And I would second that.
Kurt,
Yes.
Puppemeyer,
Yes.
Son,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
yes.
Hughie.
Yes.
E is one that I don't have in front of me, so
All right, I will read it. So I move to, or I motion to authorize and grant the authority to the mayor, law director, or future city administrator after consultation with other directors and necessary staff and approval of council to enter into and sign development agreements as provided by Maumee Codified Ordinances, Section 123.01 and 1135.08.
I'll second it.
Kurt,
No.
Peppermeyer,
Yes.
Sund,
Yes.
Bartsey,
No.
Barrow,
No.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay, did we want to do that, we had that executive session after comments?
I think that's what we put it at, yes.
Great, all right, so, council comments, starting with me. Couple of things, already forgot that what we talked about, Nancy. Well, last night was Acoustics for Autism. It was a lot of fun. I got to go run around with a bucket and collect cash for the prize. I don't know if I got the most or not, but it was very cool to see how full it was up there and how many people come to it. This was the 19th one of these, and next year will be the 20th, so I imagine it's going to be even bigger, which is fantastic. We also have Riverfest coming up. It's April 11th. It should be a lot of fun. We are starting to put out some marketing for that. There's the races, a couple of other just sort of housekeeping things. The Building and Lands Committee will be selecting their 2 Parks and Rec Commission members. I'm going to give them my list so that they know who they're going to be picking. That'll happen at the next one. We did have them fill out a form because we had so many applicants, but that should be, I don't have the date in front of me at that one, but that's coming up pretty quick
Next Monday.
so that we can get that rolling. Yeah, that's all I've got tonight, guys. Sorry, I've been here. What time did we get here? What time did I get here? But it's, we got a lot of things going forward. Stay tuned.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is Allison still here?
Nope.
I was going to ask her, I'll do it anyway. It may be helpful to her if I better define that issue concerning why the primary is in September. Again, it's kind of confusing, and I just don't, I read about it about a year ago. I just don't remember the deal, but I will figure it out and let Allison know and the Charter Review Committee. That's all I have.
Who do we have next on there?
Thank you.
Yep.
So unfortunately, I was not able to go to Acoustics because have kids, they said. It'll be fun, they said. But no, we got to go down for food trucks, and at least we got to do something. But no, I heard it was an absolute blast. Again, with the Charter Review Commission, like I briefly said, that's a job that probably not a whole lot of people really wanted to do. I was at I think the first 1 or 2 meetings, but that had to have been hard. So I sincerely thank everybody who was on that commission at one point or another. But yep, that's all I got.
Councilman Sund.
Again, thanks to the Charter Commission for all the hard work they put in. Acoustics for Autism was a blast. I was there for a couple hours last night, later in the day, and still a packed house. Good to see. And that's all I got. Till next week, or in 2 weeks.
Councilwoman Bartsey.
Yes, I just want to thank the Charter Review Commission again for their hard work. I think they came up with a good compromise and a workable compromise, and thank you.
Councilman Barrow.
Thank you. It was nice to have Michelle from the Developmental Disabilities from Lucas County come. I'm familiar with a lot of feet on the ground, hands-on what they do. And it's really marvelous, some of the people they have running those organizations and the homes and the daycares for them. It makes all the difference in the world to them, so I'm very happy to see them give a report. Thank you.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Yep, I'll pretty much echo everyone else. Thank the Charter Review Commission. I went to a bunch of those meetings, and it takes some, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time, a lot of research to make sure that we come to a decision that they can put forth to the voters to vote on. I want to thank Michelle and Amy from the Board of Developmental Disabilities for coming here and accepting that proclamation. And then also the acoustics, I was there a couple hours, hanging out in the, you know, I think we stayed there for about 2 hours because my wife was too cold, and then we had to go to the Walleye game. But we still got to hang out, listen to some good bands, you know. So it was, and it obviously goes to a great cause. And what she's done with that for the last 19 years, I think I was listening to the one podcast, Meet Me in Maumee, and they had her on there, and I think they raised $10,000 the very first year, and it was only at the village. And so to boom it, that, you know, this, and to stay at their roots, that they'll never leave, and that's what the, you know, it's an amazing thing that we have in Maumee that we can't, like, you know, we got to make sure that partnership works and for the future and never stop. So thank her, and that's it.
Councilman Hugie?
Yeah, just like Councilman Peppelmeyer, I have kids will travel, so I was unable to make it yesterday as I was constantly driving between Toledo, Bowling Green, Perrysburg, back to Toledo, back to Perrysburg. So unfortunately, I missed that. I do want to thank the Charter Review Committee for the work that they put in over the last several months, reviewing the charter and making their recommendations on it. I think over the last year, we've learned how important it is for everyone to stay involved, regardless of your opinions or your ideas or thoughts. But as time changes, it's important to make sure that our charter remains current and applicable to every situation that this community could possibly face. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we do need the motion to go into executive session. We are not expecting any action to take place after that.
Yeah, I'll move to executive session, purposes of real estate.
I second.
Call the roll. Kurt,
Yes.
Peppelmeyer,
Yes.
Son,
Yes.
Bartsey,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hugie.
Yes.
Okay. I know, I have to go to.